right now.
It seemed like me going public was the appropriate lever to pull.
A whistleblower hits the world stage with what he calls the U.S. government's best-kept secret. All this coming as American military pilots report a string of strange sightings in one state's highly restricted airspace.
Miss Vergata's disappearance was 27 years ago.
A Jane Doe among one of New York's biggest murder mysteries. Who is Karen Vergata? And could her death be tied to a suspected serial killer who police say taunted Gilgo Beach for years? 800,000 brain cells in a petri dish capable of playing Pong? The unbelievable study showcasing the shocking potential of AI and the human body. The mega yacht at the center of an international battle. Why this luxury boat, once owned by one of the world's richest men, has sparked war on the open water. Good afternoon. You're watching News Nation Now. I'm Nick Smith in today for Nicole Burley. We begin with UFO whistleblower David Grusch and his push for transparency that's now reaching the far ends of our globe. This after his exclusive interview right here on News Nation. Grusch speaking out once again, this time to the BBC. It comes just over a week after our report helped spark a historic hearing on Capitol Hill, which included testimony from Grusch and two other former defense officials on what they have seen and experienced. In a moment, I'll speak with a former U.S. Navy officer about her experience as a pilot after several others in her field reported seeing a series of suspicious objects flying in highly restricted airspace over Arizona. But first, correspondent Evan Lambert is joining me live. Evan, Grusch is responding to a statement from the head of the Pentagon's UFO office, responding to something that he said.
Nick, he is. This is a brand new interview with BBC Radio, and in it, we hear Grusch push back against that top Pentagon official who called the congressional hearing on the subject of UFOs last week, quote, insulting, and then also said that Grusch never worked for the office at the Pentagon that's responsible for investigating UFOs.
Dr. Kirkpatrick oversaw our activities and what we were doing and the money we were spending. I never said I was a part of the core team, so I believe it was just lost in translation or misconstrued.
Now, Grusch first made his bombshell claims in an exclusive interview with News Nation in June. That led to an historic congressional hearing last week, where he testified under oath that he's aware of a secret U.S. government program involving the recovery and reverse engineering of non-human craft. The Pentagon has continued to say it hasn't found, quote, verifiable information to support Grusch's claims. In the new interview, Grusch also addresses that pushback, alleging that the culture of secrecy surrounding the Manhattan Project when the U.S. developed the atomic bomb also extends to UFOs.
Why, if it's true, has the government not acknowledged it?
Yeah, I mean, that's a multifaceted question. You know, it goes back, 80, 90 years ago when this was first created, and they, translated some of the secrecy from the Manhattan Project onto this subject because, they weren't sure how ontologically shocking it was going to be to the world populace. And then two, as you can imagine, it's a Pandora's box for, potential military and weapons development type reverse engineering activities. So they decided to keep it under wraps for many years.
And the chairman of the House Oversight Committee says more hearings on UFOs are to come. We're also waiting on a report from NASA. They're doing an independent study on UFOs. Their report on the subject is due this month. Nick?
Evan, thank you so much. Strange sightings over Arizona has U.S. fighter jet pilots becoming increasingly worried of what they could be encountering midair. Just in the last few years, there were about 6 reports made to the FAA describing, quote, unmanned aerial systems flying over Arizona's most restricted airspace. Some of these flying objects were spotted as high as 36,000 feet and flying up to nearly 600 miles per hour. Arizona has over a handful of military bases across the state, including the state's Air National Guard. These latest reportings are having some ask the question, what's really out there? Here with us now is Alex Dietrich, former military officer with the U.S. Navy with 22 years of experience, pioneering as one of the nation's first female strike fighter pilots. First of all, Lieutenant Dietrich, thank you so much for your service.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Tell me your story. What made you speak out now?
Well, I haven't been withholding information or not speaking about this incident happened back in 2004, the Nimitz encounter, when we were conducting training exercises off the coast of San Diego. We reported it at the time. It was never classified because it is, a purely, truly unidentified encounter that we had. We don't know what it was, and we couldn't speculate at the time, and I won't speculate now. But ever since, there have been reports and investigations, and I'm certainly here to advocate today for a systematic reporting system to have the resources and the training and the mechanism so that when people do see something unusual, they have a way to report it, and that we have resources available, qualified teams to investigate and analyze and make sense of what we're seeing.
And Alex, more often than not, Lieutenant Dietrich, you all would discuss amongst yourselves, hey, did you see that? Yeah, I saw it too. And sometimes there was safety in others having seen or experienced the same thing.
Oh, please call me Alex. And sure, there's a stigma around the topic of UFOs, because of Hollywood and sci-fi, and we've made fun of it and snickered about these silly movies and books and shows that we watch. But really, if we see something in our airspace that we can't identify, we worry about national security. We worry about safety of flight. And, of course, all the scientists are going to say, we're curious and we should figure out what it is. And so, I'm hoping that by talking about it, it will reduce the stigma and people will be encouraged to share their stories with colleagues and, again, with officials who can actually do something about it.
And Alex, I'm glad that you pointed out the fact that you don't necessarily believe it's alien life form, but they're just objects you can't identify. Let's take a look at some of these. We're seeing everything that looks like a flying Tic Tac over Arizona. Describe some of these things that you saw while you were up there.
Right. So in November of 2004, my colleagues and I, we were in 2 aircraft with 4 air crew, 2 pilots and 2 weapons systems officers. And we saw visually what we describe as a Tic Tac because it looks like that little candy breath mint, sort of a matte white, oblong shape with no wings or smoke trail or anything that would indicate how it was turning or traveling in the way that it was. So I've heard other encounters described with different characteristics, and I wouldn't want to suggest that they are all related, that they have the same technology or the same origin. But what's important is that we have some standard template for debriefing, that we have some way to take in this information, to ingest it and make sense of it.
Absolutely.
And say, are these related?
And Alex, back when the DOD developed the B-52 bomber, people initially thought that was a flying object of some kind that they couldn't identify. Do you think this could also be some type of a system that's created that we just aren't aware of yet?
Sure. Well, I certainly hope that we have access to and control over this technology because and I'm referring to what I saw in 2004, at least, but I don't think it is because we wouldn't operate or we wouldn't test something in a range where we have a military exercise being conducted. We wouldn't put our blue forces at risk like that. So while I hope that, it is within our arsenal, I don't suspect that it is.
I love that. I'm glad that you made that distinction because even if it is something that we've created, we would not have flown and tested that object at the same time when you're doing training exercises. Lieutenant Dietrich, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Great, and thanks for taking this issue seriously.
Absolutely, and we'll continue to follow up on this, and we'll follow up with you again later. Thank you. Now turning to Long Island, where authorities have identified yet another set of remains in the Gilgo Beach murder investigation. Karen Vergata went missing in 1996 while working as a sex worker. It's important to note that police have not linked her death to Rex Heuermann. The man charged with the killings of 3 victims whose bodies were found along a stretch of land near Gilgo Beach. But this latest update certainly deepens the mystery. News Nation correspondent Alex Capriello has been following this case closely. Alex, what do we know about this 4th victim and why investigators have been careful not to link it to the 3 victims prior?
Well, Nick, we know that it's been a very, very long time since she's gone missing, 27 years to be exact. And for the very first time, the Gilgo Beach Task Force officially positively identifying the woman that up to this point had only been known as Fire Island Jane Doe. Police say the skeletal remains found near Gilgo Beach matched 34-year-old Karen Vergata, who lived in Manhattan and worked as an escort when she went missing all the way back in 1996. Pieces of her skeleton were found in 2 separate locations, miles apart from each other, once in Toby Beach and then the other in Fire Island. And then using that advanced DNA technology, those remains were confirmed to belong to the same victim, first and foremost, and then after that, positively ID'd as Vergata. Police were able to make that match about 9 months ago, Nick, but due to the ongoing investigation with Rex Heuermann, the man accused of being the Gilgo Beach serial killer, those details were kept secret until today. Again, as you mentioned, important to note that Vergata's death is not at this point being matched to Rex Heuermann in any way. In fact, the law enforcement officials who we heard from today did not release any new suspect names. They did not release any charges. However, they did say that this was an important step to lift up and honor Vergata's life, saying they're going to treat her investigation the same way they're treating all of these Gilgo Beach victims that were found on Long Island shores over the past decade or so.
Alex, one more question for you before I let you go. We know Heuermann is the primary suspect for some of the Gilgo Beach murders, charged with killing the 3 of the 11 victims. So what can you tell us about where that investigation currently stands?
Right. That was a huge question that a lot of us had at this press conference. We were very hungry to learn more about the investigation that's ongoing into Rex Heuermann and what they dug up at his house and his cars and his storage units. Unfortunately, they didn't take any questions today. So we're left to basically bring you the sort of developments that have been happening over the past week. First and foremost, the Suffolk County District Attorney asked for another cheek swab of Rex Heuermann. That request has to go through the courts in order for them to build more DNA profiles for Heuermann. We already know that Heuermann's wife and children have provided those DNA samples. In addition to that, Nick, the prosecution turned over a lot of evidence that they've been building to the defense, Heuermann's defense team, as they should during this normal process of discovery. We're talking about crime scene photos, autopsy results, as well as DNA reports. Now, forward thinking, what happens next? Heuermann will be in front of a judge at the very end of September.
Furthering what the Suffolk County DA said earlier, that this investigation continues. Alex Capriello, thank you. Joining us now for more insight on this latest development is attorney and legal analyst Dina Dahl. Dina, we just heard Alex talk about the move to ask for more DNA from Heuermann. Why not work with the DNA samples that they already have? Why would they need more DNA?
Well, it's a great question. I mean, we know the only DNA sample they have of Mr. Heuermann himself is the one that they obtained with his pizza crust that he had thrown out. They use that because they don't need a search warrant to test DNA on an item that has been thrown out. But, this is going to be a serious case. He's being charged as of now with 3 murders, maybe even more. They don't want any wiggle room in something like DNA, which can be the whole linchpin of a case. So they want to have the DNA sampled in a way that's recorded at the time. So that way they can show the jury how clear the chain of custody is. And maybe the DNA from this pizza crust was more partial and they want a more full sample as well.
Dina, I have to ask you, though, also, since Heuermann is in custody right now, and we know that we heard his defense attorney speak earlier this week, how many times can they properly prepare to defend him if the investigation continues in this way where they keep coming back with more and more and more?
I mean, this is not unusual, right? I mean, the prosecution, yes, this is an unusual case because of the number of victims that may or may not be linked to him. But it's not unusual that there is enough to charge somebody with a crime, but the investigation continues and a case can get stronger. I mean, in this situation in New York, it's interesting about the DNA samples you mentioned. A lot of states, they just swab them immediately upon arrest. New York law is not like that. They're swabbed upon conviction. And that's why the prosecution here is asking for the swab kind of midway through after his arrest, but before his conviction. But under the three-part test that the judge will apply, it's likely the judge will order him to give that sample.
And Dina, in that sample, since we know that different states have different rules around DNA, once that DNA is collected, is it then entered into a national database where investigators from other cities and municipalities can then compare that DNA from maybe open cases that they have?
I mean, that's typically what happens. Again, every jurisdiction is different here because it is, and before his conviction, where the New York law is really settled as to what happens to that DNA. But yes, it would be treated similar to the photograph that somebody takes or the fingerprinting that somebody takes. The Supreme Court has ruled that the collection of somebody's DNA is a similar identifying piece of evidence that the police can collect to identify the person who's being arrested. Here, again, it will also be used to bolster the prosecution's facts in this case.
Dina, one last question I have for you there, and I know this is getting ahead of things. Let's assume that this case continues to move forward, and at one point Heuermann were to say, okay, you've got me on these first three. And can they offer him one of those opportunities to come clean with what else he may know so that he can possibly reduce any potential sentence?
Absolutely. I mean, every case, again, is different. But the more evidence that the prosecution has, the less of a likely they are to offer a kind of deal that a defendant would be willing to take. I mean, perhaps they'd be willing to do something like, take the death penalty off the table or something like that. And that's why these cases tend to go to trial, because although there's always a potential for a plea, the more victims involved and the more evidence the prosecution has, they're just not going to offer anything. Or if they do, it's not going to be kind of worth the defense willing to take the deal.
Dina Dahl, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Well, coming up, a wild international battle over a luxurious super yacht pitting Russian oligarchs against Google's former CEO. We'll try to explain who really owns the Alpha Nero just after the break. But first,
the disturbing evidence uncovered to date points to an individual's ongoing and escalating pattern of violence.
An escalating pattern of violence. Shocking details about a man the FBI believes committed vicious crimes across as many as 10 different states, and what his neighbors are saying now. You're watching News Nation Now.
Elizabeth Vargas reports, weeknights 6/5 Central on News Nation.
We need some help.
I know. I'm going to CashNetUSA.com. And if approved, we can have the money in our account as soon as the same business day.
Go to CashNetUSA.com to apply for the money you need.
When you find your reason to go on, let it pull you past the doubt, past the pain, and past your limits. No matter what, we go on. BioFreeze.
For your weekend, but continued rain all day.
You can't count on the weather, but you can count on Dish and our reliability guarantee. Should you ever lose signal, contact us and we'll credit back your account.
Back to you, Rob.
Hey, Dylan, you want your dad to go out and help you practice your sliding?
Yeah. I'll be outside.
You're a good dad.
The reliability guarantee, only from Dish. Tuned into you.
Attention firefighters, first responders, military base personnel, and airport workers. Listen closely to this important legal announcement. Have you been exposed to chemical-based firefighting foam? If so, you may be entitled to a substantial cash award without going to court. For decades, aqueous film-forming foam, or AFFF, has been used to extinguish liquid fuel fires. A scientific study has now shown that the chemicals used to make AFFF are highly toxic to humans and can cause a significant risk of developing several types of cancer. cancer, including kidney, pancreatic, thyroid, prostate, bladder, testicular, liver, or non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. If you or a loved one are a firefighter, first responder, airport worker, or member of the military that has used firefighting foam and has been diagnosed with cancer, please call the Negligence Network to file your claim today. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call the Negligence Network to see if you're eligible for substantial compensation. Call 1-800-500-1636. That's 1-800-500-1636.
You're looking pretty good, Mr. Johnson. But we need to take some x-rays today.
Okay.
Yes, x-rays are expensive, but the front desk said you recently enrolled in a Medicare Advantage plan with extra benefits that now cover today's x-rays and cleaning costs.
Okay.
Well, Medicare Parts A and B do not cover your routine dental coverage like cleanings, fillings, or x-rays. Yes, you have a Medicare Part C plan, commonly called Medicare Advantage. Medicare Part C plans cover everything in Part A and Part B, plus extra benefits like dental, vision, and hearing.
Wow. That's great that my plan includes dental coverage that helps pay for these costs.
Yes, Mr. Johnson. A Medicare Part C plan could include dental coverage that pays for routine dental exams and teeth cleanings, dental x-rays, fillings, tooth extractions, root canals, dentures, implants, and crowns.
If you're losing coverage, moving, or new to Medicare, call to speak with a licensed insurance agent. You don't get a plan with these benefits automatically, so it's always good to call to see if there's a plan with extra benefits available in your zip code. If you don't have a Medicare Part C plan, call now because there may be plans available with additional benefits that are simply not covered under Medicare Parts A and B, like routine dental coverage. In fact, 24 million Medicare beneficiaries do not have any dental coverage. Here's the good news. If you're on Medicare, you can call even if you called last year. We will check to see if there is a Part C plan available in your area with additional benefits. Remember, you don't get Medicare Part C benefits automatically, so call now for your free 2023 no-obligation Medicare benefits review. Just call 800-793-6596. 800-793-6596.
Hi, I'm Daniel, the founder of Pretty Litter. By working with scientists and veterinarians, I was able to develop a long-lasting litter with advanced odor control, low dust, and most importantly, color-changing technology. So give it a try. Visit prettylitter.com today.
Welcome back. I'm Nick Smith. Disturbing new details involving a suspected kidnapper on the West Coast. Court documents revealing a series of handwritten notes found at the suspect's home, appearing to target innocent victims who knew very few people. This comes just days after a woman escaped a makeshift cinder block cell in his basement, ultimately exposing crimes that would eventually lead to a national investigation. Authorities fear there could be more victims as far away as Nevada, Alabama, even Florida. Brandon Thompson with our station in Portland joins me live. Brandon, let's start with these handwritten notes titled Operation Takeover. What exactly did they say?
Well, good afternoon, Nick. There are two documents that the FBI found at that residence in Klamath Falls. One is a diagram that says digging a 100 feet down. It lists materials like waterproof concrete as well as insulation. The other that lists Operation Takeover at the top. That's the one that's probably most alarming. It lists instructions like leaving a phone at home. And then it says, quote, make sure they don't have a bunch of people in their life. You don't want there to be any type of investigation, end quote. They're simple documents, but what they say is pretty alarming.
Brandon, go back to me. So he purposely, or it suggests that he was looking for people that, okay, so-and-so's missing. I don't notice her gone right away because there wasn't anyone with whom they were in contact with regularly?
So that is something that is listed on the document. The FBI notes that they think that there is an escalating pattern of behavior, as you heard before the break. And the woman that did escape from that Klamath Falls home, the FBI says that Negasi Saberi was looking for a prostitute that night and then drove her 7 hours south from Seattle all the way down to Southern Oregon.
And in that time, he had her like shackled by the hands and feet, correct?
Yes, he was impersonating a police officer, is what the FBI was told by this victim, had handcuffs, had leg shackles on her as well. And it was about when they were halfway through the drive that the victim noticed the directions on the phone that Zaberi had with him, that they were traveling a far distance. So that's when she started to raise, her awareness started to raise. They got to that home, and that's when she was able to break free, punching through that makeshift cell and being able to escape and wave down a driver.
Now let's go back. The suspect, we said in the intro to you, may have lived in other states over the last few years. What do we know about that?
So there are 12 states since 2012 that the FBI knows that Zaberi has lived in. The most common are California and Alabama. They has also spent time in Colorado. Most of the states in the West Coast, including Las Vegas and Nevada, as well as a residence in Vancouver, Washington. That's just a couple miles north of us here in Portland. And then the Klamath Falls home was his last known residence. But the interesting thing is the FBI notes that there's a lot of crossover between the time he was living in different states. So it seems like he was in different places at similar times, crisscrossing the country in some cases.
Well, talk a little bit about what his neighbors have had to say since this arrest.
Yeah, so in that Vancouver home, Zaberi was leasing that house, and the landlord who owns it, as well as the neighbors who live near there, say he was also subleasing to several people. That wasn't allowed in the lease, and that landlord did seek an eviction. But the neighbors and even the people who lived in that house that we were able to talk to describe him as very combative. There's a cell phone video that is almost a screaming match between a neighbor and Zaberi. There's also a lot of combative text messages that we have found in those eviction papers as well between Zaberi and the landlord. So there's a lot of history in that Vancouver home. That was just before he moved to Klamath Falls, according to what the FBI has told us, and that was his time there.
And Brandon, I know that there will be many more elements to come out in this case as it moves forward. Brandon Thompson in Portland reporting for us live. Brandon, thank you. Still ahead, a drug intended to help diabetics lose weight has become Hollywood's miracle drug of the future. The problem that's causing for those who actually need it. Plus, presidential hopeful Chris Christie made a surprise trip to Ukraine today, despite a Republican split on the war there. After the break, News Nation's Blake Berman breaks down why the Christie campaign believes this to be a smart move. You're watching News Nation.
Tonight on News Nation, will former President Trump's indictment help him politically? And is it a good idea to have non-citizens serve as police officers? Dan is a stacked panel to discuss. Journalist Scotty Nell Hughes, political contributor Chris Hahn, and News Nation's Elizabeth Vargas. Tonight on Dan Abrams Live.
Martial arts is my passion.
I work out whenever I can.
But with my moderate to severe eczema, it can be tough.
My skin was so uncomfortable.
The itching was so bad.
Now I'm staying ahead of my eczema.
There's a power inside all of us to live our passion. And Dupixent works on the inside to help heal your skin from within. It helps block a key source of inflammation inside the body that can cause eczema, so adults can have long-lasting, clearer skin and fast itch relief. Serious allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Tell your doctor about new or worsening eye problems such as eye pain or vision changes, including blurred vision, joint aches and pain, or a parasitic infection. Don't change or stop asthma medicines without talking to your doctor.
Healing from within is a powerful thing.
Ask your eczema specialist how Dupixent can help heal your skin from within.
At ADP, we understand business today looks nothing like it did yesterday. While it's more unpredictable, its possibilities are endless. From paying your people from anywhere to supporting your talent everywhere. We use data-driven insights to design HR solutions and services to help businesses of all sizes work smarter today so they can have more success tomorrow.
My name is Helen, and I was an EMT for 20 years in New York City. The job was very tough. We never knew what call we were going to get, but I was one of the first responders for the plane on the Hudson. After years of working EMT, my body took a toll, and I had pain in every joint of my body, my back, my knees, my neck. I could not walk. half a block. I had to lay in bed all the time. I was very depressed. The pain became so bad. I'm used to walking a lot, and I couldn't even do that. My sister finally told me, try Omega XL, because she was finding relief from pain in her knees. I ordered it, and now I have more energy than I ever had. Last week, I walked 6 blocks. I was so proud of myself.
Find relief with Omega XL. Omega XL is a powerful, one-of-a-kind oil extract that comes from the green-lipped mussels sourced from the pristine waters of New Zealand. Omega XL contains more than 30 free fatty acids that help relieve pain due to inflammation, and its effectiveness has been proven through more than 35 years of clinical research.
This product is the best thing. These tiny pills that you take will be a miracle for your body. You will remember what did it to you, and it was Omega XL.
Call now or visit omegaxl.com/try and receive this special offer. When you buy 1 bottle of Omega XL, receive an additional bottle absolutely free. That's 2 bottles of Omega XL for only $39.95. Order now, and we'll also include a free bottle of Vitamin XL D3 with your first order.
Get Omega XL. It's the best thing for you.
Call now and receive this special offer. 2 bottles of Omega XL plus Vitamin XL D3 for only $39.95.
Order it. It's good for you.
Can you believe this? Doug Flutie and Frank Thomas. You guys look great. Once I turn 40...
Let me guess, less energy?
Less drive? Definitely.
It's not your fault. It happens to every man. Testosterone levels drop as you age.
It happened to you guys?
Yep.
So what did you do?
We got Nugenix Total T.
This unique man-boosting formula is powered by Testofen, a patented key ingredient clinically researched to help increase testosterone levels. Nugenix is the #1 doctor-recommended testosterone booster in the USA, #1 at GNC, and #1 at Walmart. But you can only get your complimentary bottle by texting ROOM to 42424.
That does it. I gotta get Nugenix.
Just send a text.
Yeah, for a complimentary bottle.
And by the way, she'll like it too.
Get your complimentary bottle of Nugenix now. Text ROOM to 42424. Text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat incinerator ever, with key ingredients to help you lose fat and get lean absolutely free. That's ROOM to 42424.
Republican presidential candidate Chris Christie made a surprise trip to Ukraine today, meeting with President Volodymyr Zelensky in Kyiv and touring some of the war-torn villages around the capital. Mr. Christie's visit bucks a trend among most Republican politicians and voters as support within the party wanes for additional U.S. aid earmarked for Ukraine. Correspondent Blake Berman is live in Washington with details on Christie's trip. Blake, I have to ask you, why did Mr. Christie think that making this trip was a smart move for his campaign?
Well, going overseas, Nick, for presidential candidates is nothing new. It is a rite of passage. It's essentially a way for them to get before the cameras and show that one day, potentially, they could be the next commander-in-chief. The difference this go-around is what we're seeing in this election cycle is that Republican presidential candidates, some of them have been going to Ukraine. For example, we saw Mike Pence do that at the end of June. And then now, here we are at the beginning of August. Chris Christie has done the same. The former New Jersey governor visiting Kyiv earlier today, along with 2 other towns, as you mentioned, outside the capital, meeting there, as you can see, with the Ukrainian leader, Volodymyr Zelensky. The issue of how much more funding and how many more supplies should be sent to Ukraine is a dividing line in the Republican primary. Christie, Pence, and those who support more help believe that's needed to help Ukraine defeat the Russian invasion at all costs. But this is the issue right here. Look at the numbers. A poll out today shows that only 45% of the American public believes that Congress should authorize additional funds for Ukraine, while 55% believe that should not happen. And when you view this along party lines, it is very clear where most Republicans stand. Only 28% of Republicans say that there should be more funding, while roughly 7 in 10 say that there should not be. Christie took that reality head on while meeting with Zelensky earlier today.
There will always be political arguments in America, as you know, as there are everywhere. But I believe that the overwhelming majority of the American people understand that we need to be with Ukraine on this fight. But there are political arguments. And I want us who support you to win those political arguments, because that means the support will be better, faster, and more significant.
All right, so as it relates to the top two candidates in the race over here at the White House, President Biden and the Biden administration continues to say that we need to stand behind Ukraine, that there needs to be more support, more reassurances going toward that country. But on the other side of the aisle, back in the Republican primary, the leader there, Donald Trump, has taken a new line saying that there should only be support for Ukraine if the Biden administration cooperates fully with House Republicans into their investigations into the Biden family.
Wow, tying this back to the Biden family. Blake, I do want to ask you one question before you go. Why do you think the support is waning amongst the public at large?
Well, look, there's been more than 40 different instances, Nick, in which the United States has given military help and military supplies to Ukraine in its effort to fight the invasion against Russia. The total dollar figure at this point is north of $60 billion. This is a war that's been going on for nearly 18 months now, a war that's being fought in Eastern Europe. So once you talk about the time frame, the dollar amount, all of the supplies that have been coming from U.S. stockpiles, that is why you're starting to see within at least the Republican Party, many start to question exactly how much more money and how many more supplies should be going into that country. When you look on the flip side of things, Nick, for Democrats, it's north of 60% who still believe that funding should be going toward Ukraine. So there is a clear political divide, or at least along political ideologies, a clear divide as to what should happen with Ukraine going forward.
Blake Berman live for us this afternoon in our nation's capital. Blake, thank you. A Louisiana woman is suing the maker of two popular weight loss drugs over the severity of their side effects. Ozempic and Mounjaro have been used to treat type 2 diabetes, but are now being used for weight loss. The woman who filed the lawsuit claims Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly downplayed the risks associated with the drugs, including gastrointestinal side effects, also known as stomach paralysis. The woman says her symptoms have been so severe she had to be hospitalized and even lost teeth due to excessive vomiting. Both drug makers say the adverse side effects are listed on the prescribed medication. And today we begin a two-part series on the weight loss craze sparked by Ozempic. For years, diabetics lost weight with the help of that medication prescribed for type 2 diabetes. Now, Wegovy, prescribed specifically for weight loss, is the drug of the future, and supplies are dwindling. Today in Part 1, News Nation correspondent Kelly Beeson takes a look at who's getting it and who shouldn't be, and how that's affecting supplies.
It's the miracle drug overweight Americans have been waiting for. That metaphorical magic pill dieters have been looking for to drop the weight without the workouts. But in America, where more than 100 million people are obese and dieting is a $70 billion a year industry, does it work?
It works. I've never seen anything like it.
Ozempic is usually prescribed by doctors to treat type 2 diabetes, not weight loss. But it contains semaglutide, the same active ingredient in its sister drug Wegovy, widely prescribed for obesity. Studies find the once-weekly injection can help users shed up to 15% of their body weight, even more with a moderate diet and exercise.
This medicine to me is now a tool that is better than any tool that I've ever had before as far as helping my patients, because I've seen patients lose weight comparable to when they've had patients to go get the surgeries.
But who's getting it? And is the drug going to the people who need it most? According to FDA guidelines, the medicine is for people living with obesity, those with a body mass index of at least 30 or a BMI of 27 with additional health issues like diabetes, high blood pressure, or kidney disease. But not everyone who uses it needs it, and that's contributing to supply shortages for many patients taking Wegovy for obesity and Ozempic for diabetes. The worldwide popularity of the drug sparking huge demand at home and abroad, sparking questions too around just who's getting it, like slender people, including celebrities.
There's a big pushback as far as physicians are being discouraged from writing the medicine for people with lower BMIs, and what we're talking about now are celebrities. is very common. Some of these celebrities might have a BMI as low as 22 or 24, and they just want to get a little bit more attractive for their movie role. Well, in the medical community, that's being considered now as unethical.
If they're not overweight, how are they getting it? That's because some doctors are writing prescriptions for Ozempic and Wegovy off-label, in other words, for reasons other than diabetes and obesity, and it's completely legal.
Once a medicine is on market, meaning that it's available for physicians to write, if they want to write the medicine for something other than what is FDA approved for based on their clinical judgment, they can do that.
But do the benefits outweigh the risks?
Do the benefits outweigh the risk? Well, Kelly Beasley will have that answer. Monday, we'll take a look at that and the side effects. Are they worth it? As the makers of 2 weight loss brands face a lawsuit over severe side effects. We've got more in part 2 of that series on Monday. Still ahead, a Russian oligarch, a tech CEO, and a small Caribbean country all at odds over a massive super yacht. The web of international restrictions and shell companies making a seemingly simple question very complicated. Who owns the yacht? That's coming up. But first, can a new artificial perspective on this grainy home video help to understand exactly what happened on the day JFK was shot? What experts are hoping modern technology can tell us.
When moderate to severe ulcerative colitis takes you off course, put it in check with Rinvoq, a once-daily pill.
When I wanted to see results fast, Rinvoq delivered rapid symptom relief and helped leave bathroom urgency behind. Check.
When UC tried to slow me down, I got lasting steroid-free remission with Rinvoq. Check.
And when UC caused damage, Rinvoq came through by visibly repairing my colon lining. Check. Rapid symptom relief, lasting steroid-free remission.
And a chance to visibly repair the colon lining. Check, check, and check.
Rinvoq can lower your ability to fight infections, including TB, serious infections and blood clots, some fatal, cancers including lymphoma and skin cancer, death, heart attack, stroke, and tears in the stomach or intestines occurred. People 50 and older with at least one heart disease risk factor have higher risks. Don't take if allergic to Rinvoq, as serious reactions can occur. Tell your doctor if you are or may become pregnant.
Put UC in check and keep it there with Rinvoq.
Ask your gastroenterologist about Rinvoq and learn how AbbVie can help you save.
Hi, I'm Lauren. I lost 67 pounds in 12 months on Golo. Golo and the release has been phenomenal in my life. It's all natural. It's not something that gives you the jitters. It makes you go through your days with energy and you're not tired anymore, and your anxiety, everything is gone. It's definitely worth trying. It is an amazing product.
Living with metastatic breast cancer means I cherish my memories. But I don't just look back on them. I look forward to the chance to make new ones every day with Verzenio.
Verzenio is proven to help you live significantly longer when taken with fulvestrant. Verzenio plus fulvestrant is for HR-positive, HER2-negative metastatic breast cancer that has progressed after hormone therapy. Diarrhea is common, may be severe, or cause dehydration or infection. At the first sign, call your doctor, start an antidiarrheal, and drink fluids. Before taking Verzenio, tell your doctor about any fever, chills, or other signs of infection. Verzenio may cause low white blood cell counts, which may cause serious infection that can lead to death. Life-threatening lung inflammation can occur. Tell your doctor about any new or worsening trouble breathing, cough, or chest pain. Serious liver problems can happen. Symptoms include fatigue, appetite loss, stomach pain, and bleeding or bruising. Blood clots that can lead to death have occurred. Tell your doctor if you have pain or swelling in your arms or legs, shortness of breath, chest pain, and rapid breathing or heart rate, or if you are nursing, pregnant, or plan to be.
I'm making future memories every day with Verzenio.
Ask your doctor about everyday Verzenio.
Oh, yeah, dude, that doesn't look good. I know what to do. I'm going to cashnetusa.com. I can apply in minutes, and if approved, I can have the money as soon as the same business day.
Go to cashnetusa.com to apply for the money you need.
At DriveTime.com, we've been hard at work. And we finally did it.
Did you make it so I can finally shop at thousands of cars with no hit to my credit?
Wait, yes! Go to DriveTime.com, get approved with no credit hit.
Go to DriveTime.com, get approved, and shop your real terms with no credit hit.
Hi, I'm Daniel, the founder of Pretty Litter. By working with scientists and veterinarians, I was able to develop a long-lasting litter with advanced odor control, low dust, and most importantly, color-changing technology. So give it a try. Visit prettylitter.com today.
Tonight on News Nation, will former President Trump's indictment help him politically? And is it a good idea to have non-citizens serve as police officers? Dan is a stacked panel to discuss. Journalist Scotty Mel Hughes, political contributor Chris Hahn, and News Nation's Elizabeth Vargas. Tonight on Dan Abrams Live.
Welcome back. We're coming up on 60 years since President Kennedy's assassination in Dallas. Earlier this year, the National Archives concluded a review of thousands of still classified records related to the 1963 assassination. Over the decades, millions of documents have been released, but nearly 5,000 documents still remain under wraps for reasons including privacy rules and court orders. Now, along a simmering legal fight over the fate of film of the assassination is heating up again. Correspondent Nancy Liu is live in Dealey Plaza in Dallas to explain. Nancy, this continues to be something that fascinates the country.
Absolutely, Nick. And this new lawsuit is linked to film footage pretty much taken from this area of Dealey Plaza I'm standing on that tragic day. A copy of it up there in the 6th floor museum, the former Texas Book Depository. But what happened to the original film remains a mystery. The film taken by Dallas maintenance worker Orville Nix Sr. is the only footage from that day facing the JFK motorcade and the area known as the Grassy Knoll. Across from him was Abraham Zapruder, who also captured the indelible images most Americans have seen, the assassination of the 35th president and the First Lady climbing onto the trunk. The Nix family believes the use of modern image enhancement technology could provide new clues about what happened. These are still images from a copy of the Nix film, and some have long wondered whether one or more may be that of a second gunman. Many are eager for advanced tech and even AI to be used on the original Nix film, since he was right across from Zapruder.
These two men are pointing movie cameras at the presidential motorcade, which is in between them. So we have the shot right at the moment when the gunfire erupts. So we have two different perspectives on that. And that's important because they can be compared and give us a better picture of what happened. An original copy of this 8mm film is going to be clearer than the copy. And so it's going to have more visual detail. It's going to have more data points.
But the whereabouts of the original Nix film are unknown. Finding it is the goal of the new lawsuit against the National Archives by the Nix family, which accuses the government of mishandling an important piece of history. Now, coming up tonight on Elizabeth Vargas Reports at 6 o'clock Eastern, we'll have much more on the lawsuit and why many believe finding the original Nix film could squash a lot of the conspiracy theories. You'll also hear from a woman who knew Lee Harvey Oswald, and you'll hear what she thinks of that missing film.
So many questions. Nancy Liu live for us this afternoon in Dallas, Texas. Nancy, thank you. Now it's time to get the scoop on some of the top trending stories right now. The yacht that Princess Diana spent her final summer holiday on before her untimely death is now sitting at the bottom of the Mediterranean. The 65-foot super yacht Cujo collided with an unidentified object off the French Riviera. 7 people were rescued. Now, fueled by the paparazzi's mission to quench the world's thirst for photos of Princess Diana and her new billionaire boyfriend, the iconic love boat made international headlines. Just about 2 weeks later, she and Dodi Fayed died in a car crash while trying to escape paparazzi in Paris. Here with the scoop is News Nation senior story editor Paula Froelich, who's known for her work and her work at Page Six as well. Paula, talk to me about all these hot stories.
Okay, first of all, let's just talk about the Cujo curse.
Okay.
Because this boat has been cursed from the beginning. It was the last boat that Diana was on before she died. Prince Harry and Prince William were also on that vacation with her, and there are shots of them. And then after that, Dodi's brother buys it. He refurbishes it and sells it to a very wealthy Italian family. And the guy who actually owned it was a 30-year-old wealthy guy from that Italian family, and apparently isn't the best driver. But then again, who is?
Wow. So the boat has, many feel like it's cursed.
Many feel like it's cursed, like it was just meant to be at the bottom of the Med.
Okay, let's talk about divorce.
Oh, It's a heady subject.
But we were talking about a particular couple.
We are actually going to talk about Brad and Angelina, or Brad and Jolina, if you will. They are headed for the they are headed for the longest divorce in Hollywood. It's almost 7 years now.
Wow.
They split in 2016. And friends of mine tell me she's not going to stop for 4 more years until their youngest, the twins, Knox and Vivian, are 18.
What's the purpose behind that?
She just doesn't want to. She wants to stick it to him.
And really just drag this out.
Really drag it out. And frankly, there's a lot of financial reasons for it. Right now, I mean, she really does not like Brad. And so far, Brad has already spent a whopping $14 million, and that is a conservative estimate in this divorce, and they're not even divorced yet. He gave her $8 million in 2017, or loaned her, and I use that word very loosely as well, loaned her $8 million so she could buy a family home for her and the kids. It was Cecil B. DeMille's old home in Los Feliz. It's beautiful. It's great. 6 bedrooms, 10 bathrooms. Then he spent over $2 million in lawyers, not just on the divorce, but also on Chateau Miraval, the French winery where they own together, that they got married at. And the problem is she sold it out from under him to a Russian oligarch. And he's saying, hey, that's illegal. I had first right of refusal. It's in court papers. So he's battling her and the Russian oligarch now. He's leaking cash. And then there's also the child support. So I've heard he's spent at least $1 million a year on 5 kids. So that's $200,000 per kid a year. They had 5 kids under the age of 18 when they got divorced.
Right.
And it's at least $4 million. So everything adds up to $14 million.
Wow. Take us out of space quickly.
Oh, my goodness. So this is also the craziest story, Nick. The guy who started the Ocean Quest, you know, the one with the Titan that went down, now he's telling people he wants to take them to go live on Venus, which is nuts. I don't know if you know this, but the nickname for Venus is called Hell Planet. And it's called Hell Planet because it's only 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And it also has, I don't know, toxic clouds of carbon dioxide.
And sulfur.
So it smells like eggs. It's a really homey experience.
And what has the interest in that been? Why is he doing this?
You know what? Who knows? But whoever wants to give him money should call me because I got a bridge to sell you for only $4 million. Wink. And I'll take it on Venmo.
And if
cash.
they have extra money, they can probably loan it to Brad as well, because it looks like he's still paying out.
Oh, you're not kidding.
Paula Fresh, thank you so much, Paula. I love this. Coming up in our next hour, we finally have the alibi for Bryan Kohberger, what the man accused of a grisly quadruple murder says he was doing on the night of the attacks. But first, a Russian oligarch's yacht is now at the center of an international legal fight. Who will own the Alpha Nero when the dust settles? We'll answer those questions next.
UFO whistleblower who we broke the story with here on News Nation.
Media have ignored this story.
Chairman, I'd like to submit for the record an article by News Nation.
If it wasn't for y'all at News Nation, this thing probably wouldn't have broke.
Pain hits fast, so get relief fast. Only Tylenol Rapid Release Gels have laser-drilled holes. They release medicine fast for fast pain relief. And now, get relief without a pill with Tylenol Dissolve Packs. Relief without the water.
This is an important message for anyone and everyone on or eligible for Medicare. If Medicare is important to you, then you need to hear this message because Medicare benefits matter to millions of Americans. Did you know Medicare has different parts, including Medicare Part A and Part B, often called Original Medicare? And then there's Medicare Part C, representing Medicare Advantage plans, and Part D for prescription drug coverage. Call 800-218-5045 now for your free Medicare coverage checkup. We can look up your plan and see if you're missing out on a plan with extra benefits, or if your income qualifies you to reduce costs on your prescription medications. Did you know there are different enrollment periods, like the Medicare Annual Enrollment Period, when beneficiaries can enroll in or change coverage? But there are also certain conditions or qualifications that may allow you to qualify for a special enrollment period any time of the year. So call the number on your screen now for your free Medicare coverage checkup. This is a free service that you can call at absolutely no cost to you.
I'm on Medicare. I called to see if my income qualified for a lower prescription medication cost. The friendly agent was very knowledgeable, and I found out that I qualified for a special enrollment period. I'm so glad that I called.
We can look up your plan and see if you are missing out on a plan with extra benefits. We can also check to see if your income qualifies you to reduce the cost of your prescription medications. And we can even tell you if you qualify for a special enrollment period. It's your free Medicare coverage checkup at absolutely no cost to you. Just call 800-218-5045 and you can speak with a licensed agent who can check up on your plan and answer your questions. The Medicare Benefits and Questions line is open, and anyone on or eligible for Medicare can call. The call and Medicare coverage checkup is free with no obligation. Call now. We love talking to people with Medicare, and the call is free. Just call 800-218-5045. 800-218-5045.
When you find your reason to go on, let it pull you past the doubt, past the pain, and past your limits. No matter what, we go on. BioFreeze.
Attention firefighters, first responders, military base personnel, and airport workers. Listen closely to this important legal announcement. Have you been exposed to chemical-based firefighting foam? If so, you may be entitled to a substantial cash award without going to court. For decades, aqueous film-forming foam, or AFFF, has been used to extinguish liquid fuel fires. A scientific study has now shown that the chemicals used to make AFFF are highly toxic to humans and can cause a significant risk of developing several types of cancer, including kidney, pancreatic, thyroid, prostate, bladder, testicular, liver, or non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. If you or a loved one are a firefighter, first responder, airport worker, or member of the military that has used firefighting foam and has been diagnosed with cancer, please call the Negligence Network to file your claim today. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call the Negligence Network to see if you're eligible for substantial compensation. Call 1-800-500-1636. That's 1-800-500-1636.
I'm gonna sell my life insurance, cause I don't need it anymore.
My kids are grown, my wife is great, let's settle up the score.
It's time to travel to Paris, spend retirement happy. Call 877-SELL-EASY, 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 and sell your policy. You can sell all or part, live your life, play it smart. 877-SELL-EASY and sell your policy.
If you've had a change in health or you're over 65 and paying for $100,000 or more in a life insurance policy you don't need, get paid for it instead.
Take the money that you get, gonna live it up, you bet. Call 877-SELL-EASY, 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 and sell your